Hi all. So today we are going to cover some of the statistics that is going to be helpful when we are trying to use machine learning algorithms and trying to get some decision or build some model. Okay, so let's get started. So if you are familiar with statistics and you see that the topics that I'm going to cover today is about the mean, median, mode and the type of variables we have. So only this much and how to calculate those things that I'm going to cover in this video. So if you are already familiar, you can skip to the next video where I'm going to cover about the distributions. Followed by that I'll be showing you the examples. So followed by that we are going to use the Python, where we are going to use all the statistics to using algorithms, and in that for the pre-processing and all we are going to use all the statistics. So if you are familiar with this, you can skip to the next video where we are discussing about the distributions. So yeah, let's get started. So overall the variables what all we have are classified either as qualitative or quantitative. So if you have seen in the visualization part, there are some restrictions on the type of data that is required for each type of graph. For example, bar graph, we need at least one categorical value. Okay, so if we talk about what is qualitative, okay, I will not give definition for each of them. After seeing examples you will be able to identify. So qualitative is like which we can measure in terms of what I can say, not numerically, but what you can say, like, okay, let's get on to examples directly. So we have nominal and ordinal. So nominal is like we are saying okay, we are giving label. Okay, this is a tea, this is a coffee, okay, this is a hot tea, this is a cold tea. So like that, when we are giving some kind of categorization, that is called as nominal. But coming to ordinal, when we are if everyone will have different sort of opinions, like, so if everyone write their own terminologies, it will not be helpful for anyone. Like if I'm doing a survey, if they write their own words, like everyone will have their own words, then I cannot normalize it, or I cannot come to any conclusion based on that survey. So for that, what we do is we use the ordinal values, where we, like, based on their experience, based on their output, we ask them to choose one of them. So here we have order of something. Okay, for example, we have taken bad, very bad, good, very good, satisfied, dissatisfied, on the scale of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will not be the quantitative, but it is like an ordinal value, where we are like it is an what we can say, order of something based on which we can get to some conclusion. So that was a category. So here categories like 1 is excellent, 5 is worst. So on that is a scale here. Okay, so that was about qualitative. Next we have quantitative, where it is discrete and continuous. So we'll talk about continuous. Based on that, you can see what is discrete. So continuous is like if you write 22 by 7, that is a pi value, you will write 3.1444 and some like never ending value. Okay, so that will go on continuously. And if I ask you how many numbers are there between 1 and 2, okay, so there will be infinite number of values. Okay, it might be like 1.1, 1.01, 1.111, 1.121. So there will be too many numbers, correct? So that is called as continuous numbers. But when we say that how many real numbers are there between 1 to 10, so you can say some specific value. Okay, if I ask you 10 cup of coffee, you can say 10 specific. So those things which is not continuous in the numericals, we call them as a discrete. So that was all about our types of variables. Now let's get on to the some of the statistics like mean, median, mode. So let's move on to next slide. One second. Okay, so talking about mean, it is simply an average of all the numbers. Okay, so that was a one liner thing. Then median is like you sort in ascending or descending, whichever way we want, we'll sort all the numbers. Okay, and the middle value we'll call it as a median. And if it is an even number, so for suppose you have 10 numbers and you sort them, then there will be two numbers, right? 5 and 6. So in that case you will what we can say, 5 and 6 are the median. Or if we are doing like as per our requirement for the calculation, we can also take the average of them and consider that as a median. So it is again dependent on what kind of algorithms we are using and whether can we have two medians for that, and it is like mandatory to have only one median. And then coming to mode, it is like the number which is having the most frequency. So we can say the number which is repeated most, that is called as mode. Okay, for example, okay, we'll take an example and then we'll try to solve this in 2 minutes. Okay, okay, let me share it here. Yeah, so I'm let me take this. Yeah, so we have our data is like 1 2 3 4 5 and 10. Yeah, that is fine. So if I say how many numbers do we have 6. So we, as per formula, we'll sum of them. 1 plus 2 3 6 10 15 25, and if there is something wrong, okay, and for easy calculation, let's keep it as a 5 and remove 10. Okay, so 5 10 15, so our mean is 3. But this is okay for mean, but we'll take a data set which, with the help of which we can easily understand or cover all the 3. Okay, okay, so in this case only, if we want to find the median, what will, let's say, since it is already arranged in what we can say ascending order, we can say that 3 is the median. Now we'll try to take an even number of data set. Okay, so we'll say we have one more 1 here. Okay, so in this case, if I want to take the average, it is like 16 divided by 6. So 16 divided by 6 is like 12 2 point, okay, more 2.7 something. It's fine. Now it is 2.7 is mean. Now what is the median? So it is already sorted in the ascending order. So median is like 1 2 3. Okay, so we can also find it by 6 divided by 3, and since it is a even, 3 plus 1, so third and fourth, so these two are median. Now I can say, like, for some problems I can say 2 and 3 are median, and for some problems I need to take the average and say 2 plus 3 by 2, 2.5 is my median. And now coming to mode, I can clearly say that 1 is repeated more, so 1 is repeated twice, 2 is repeated once, similarly all others are repeated only once, so my mode is 1. But if I have, suppose 5 3 and 3, so here 3 is repeated thrice, but 2 is repeated once, 1 is repeated twice, 5 is repeated twice, so in that case my mode will be 3. But if 1 3, I remove one of the 3's. Now 1 is repeated twice, and even, okay, there's one more example I forgot to say. So in this case, like where we have 1 repeated twice, 5 repeated twice, and 3 repeated twice, so in that case our mode is 3. So this 3 will be our first mode. Similarly, we can have our second mode as 1 and 5, because 1 and 5 are repeated twice. Okay, so that was one thing. And now we can also say when 1 3 is removed, so we can say 3 5 and 1 all are repeated only twice, so we can say all 1 3 and 5 are our mode. Okay, so that was the calculation part. Now one more thing that I want to say is, let me create one more slide here. Control M. Why is it not working? Okay, fine. Yeah, so there's one more thing. What is the use of this, right? So I can use it to find, like, suppose mean I represent using mu. Okay, mean, and then there is median, and then there is mode. The representation is different, but for understanding sake I can write this. Now when I say mu is equal to median, so then I can say that data is uniformly distributed. Okay, uniformly distributed means my average and my median are nearly close to each other, so in that case it is like uniformly, or it is normally distributed. That's what I can say. But if the case is mu is greater than median, okay, mu is greater than median means I can say that it is rightly skewed, right skewed. So what is the skew, that I'll cover in a moment, but this is called as rightly skewed. Now one more case is mu is less than f, so here I can say that the data is left skewed. So one thing I need to observe, that is, if there is much difference between the mean and median, I can for sure say that there is some outlier in that, and I'll try to do some I'll try to apply some scaling stuff. Okay, even after that I see that still there is a much gap between the mean and median, then I can say there is an outlier. Okay, and after that is gone, now this result that you are seeing, that it is greater than, it is less than, if it is the difference between them is very negligible, then it is fine. Even if it is a like small unit compared to other data sets, then it is fine. But if it is like a difference is great, then I can say that it is right skewed or left skewed. So what does this means is, for suppose this is our bell curve. Okay, so bell curves mean we'll try to if we have a data set, we'll try to plot it. Okay, and then suppose we have this kind of curve, then we can say that our data is normally distributed. So this is like a perfect example of a good data set. But suppose our data is somewhat like this. Okay, and our center is this. So okay, let me try to draw a much worst curve, so it will be easy to understand. Okay, so it's like here the data is going, and this is how the data is, and this is my central position. So I can say most of the data is on this side. Okay, most of the data is on this side means I can say it is a left skewed. This is gone, I don't know why. Okay, similarly vice versa, when the data is most on this side, I can say that it is right skewed. So like that we can get on to some conclusion and we can work on that. Okay, there's one more concept which is called as standard deviation. For this we will not do calculation, but if we take a point like in this, we have 1 1 2 3 4 5 5. Okay, our mean was 2.7. so we'll take for example 1. Okay, so if we take an example 1 and we put in the formula, we can find out that the point which we are considering at the moment, how far is that from our mean. So that is used to identify what, the standard deviation. So we apply this deviation on all the points, and then over all them we try to get the standard deviation. So that gives us information about how much the data is spread. Okay, so that was about standard deviation. And next we are going to, so as you have seen, this was our bell curve, so which is given by normal distribution. So we are going to see what is the distribution and what are the types of distribution, and we are going to see some of the examples. So this sigma also we are going to consider under the normal distribution. Let me write formula for that, then it will be more clear. Okay, so how we find is 1 by sigma, this sigma is nothing but standard deviation, 2 pi, okay, and then e power minus 1 by 2. So once we get into logistic regression, you will see this formula again, x minus mu by sigma whole square. So here x is our data point, mu is our mean, this is our variance, and this is our exponent. Okay, so what we are going to do with this is, we are going to make sure that whatever data set that we are got, because we are studying some distributions because of some aim, right? So whatever data we are going to get, we are going to convert, we are going to apply normalization, we are going to do all the pre-processing techniques, and we'll try to get the bell shaped curve. Okay, this kind of curve. Okay, when we try to plot the data set, we should try to get it as close as possible to this kind of curve. Okay, and then after this, our intention will be to convert this into something called as standard normal distribution. And why we need to do this is because if someone asks us questions like estimates, okay, percentage of confidence, level of significance, okay, so in layman's terms, what I can ask is, if you want to give someone a task, or if you want to predict that you are okay, you are an owner of some manufacturing company, and you want to make sure that how much amount of unit that we need to manufacture, so that we are sure that at least 90% with 90% we can sell this much product. Okay, or you can say how much product should I manufacture, so that with the confidence of 90% that I can sell at least 95% of that products. Okay, so that is what we call as confidence level. Okay, so if you can see the bandwidth, okay, the lowest level and the highest level of each percentage. Okay, all that we'll cover under an example, but I hope you are getting the question, so I'll repeat that once again. If you want to estimate, okay, that I will for sure I will be able to sell 90% of my products. No. The frame of the question is wrong. Okay, let me repeat that again.
That everyone is going to take 50 minutes. Someone will take.
So suppose based on the historical data we plotted this bell curve. Okay, now our question is like, how many number of units should we produce so that we can say that we are actually covering, for example, 90% of the demand or 90% of the units that we are manufactured we sold without facing any kind of loss. Or we can change the confidence with 95% of confidence. If I want to say that I have covered the demand, what is the number of units that I need to manufacture? So there will be like not the exact number, there will be a range. Okay, within this range, like for suppose if you could produce a minimum of 100 or maximum of 110, this is for sure that 90% with 90% of those units will be sold, or we can say the demand is covered. Similarly, based on the percentages, our range will be changed and we can take the optimal decision out of that. Okay, and this is like we are going from front to end, and the vice versa also question we can solve. So if you need to do a Google regarding this kind of problems, you can search about estimator problems or manufacturing problems. Okay, so how we do that I'll give a surface level showcase here. So let me choose yeah, okay, this would be fine. So this is our bell curve, right? I'll draw it straightly. Suppose this is our bell curve. Okay, now make sure that before taking any kind of decision, this curve is standard normal distribution curve. Okay, standard normal distribution curve means where mu is equal to 0. So this was for suppose this was our normal distribution. Now we'll try to use some of the other converting like using a log x, using a log y, or some of the other techniques, so that we convert this normal distribution into standard normal distribution. So a standard normal distribution means if we try to take the mean of the data, it will be 0. Okay, so that was our case. Now we are assuming that our data is in standard normal distribution form. So if you want to take the example of that, I can take -3, -2, -1, +1, +2, +3. So if you take the mean of this, it will be 0. So this we can say that it is a standard normal distributed data. Okay, so now if I want to like this is my what I can say, this is my boundary, and if someone asks me the probability or the level of confidence, I simply need to find these values. Okay, so if I go more technically, so this will be our z values, and our intention or the answer of every question will be to find the area between these. Okay, so how we will find the area between this is by finding the z values, and after finding the z values we can use the z table. Okay, so there is something called z table, we'll use that and we'll find the area. Okay, so let me give you how to find this area. Okay, yeah, so if suppose this is my bell curve and I need to find the area between this. Okay, let me mark the area with some different color. So this is the area I need to find. So how would I do that is like suppose I'll again use the same. Okay, this is my bell curve. I need to find the blue marked area. So what I will do is I will go to the z table and find the value of okay, so suppose z value is 1.23. so in the z table what I'll do is on the row I'll check 1 and okay, so this is how it is going to be. So on the row side it is going to be 1.2, on the column side 0.03. so this will be some table, and I will need to find the value which is intersecting this 1.2 and 0.03. so suppose there is a value whose value is x. So the x will be like, okay, now this 1.23 is for suppose this is 1.23 and this is suppose minus 0.2. So 1.23, based on that I got an area x. So this complete area, right, this complete area is x. Now I'll go and choose some other marker, black. Now this minus 0.2 I need to search. So for that I need to choose minus 0.2. This will be a one more z table, and here 0 0 will be there. So will be finding a value which is intersecting 0.22 and 0.00. So suppose that value is y. So always the area which I am choosing will be giving me the area of the left curve. So this 0.2 will be giving me this area. Okay, the area, or I can say z value of 0.2 will give me this area. So basically I need to subtract the area of 1.3 and area of 0.2, that is this x value that I got from z and minus y. So the value which I am getting, that will be the my area. So this is the probability, or this is the confidence that I need to tell, okay, that if I manufacture this and this amount, so this will be suppose A and this will be suppose B. So if I manufacture units between the range A and B with, okay, whatever the area is this, okay, I'll say the area is suppose 95%. Okay, it will be like 0.95 because the complete area under the bell curve is 1. So I can say that with the confidence of 0.95, if you want to cover the demand, I need to, okay, let me write it properly. Okay, so listen to this very carefully. If I want to complete my demand with the confidence of 0.95, then I need to manufacture the units between A to B. So that is what we are trying to get answer here. Okay, and for a very good example, you can try to Google about the estimator problem. Okay, so and you can try to visualize the Z table. Okay, so this Z table we use when we are dealing with sample. Now you can have a question, what is a sample and what is a population? So it's like let's take an example. In my state, suppose there are 1 million people, okay, and I want to do a survey to get some kind of conclusion. So I cannot go to 1 million people and I try to get the data. Okay, so I'll choose some set of population, like I need to make sure that all the varieties are covered under that. Like it should cover people under the age 10, under the age 20, under the age 50. It should cover male, it should cover female. So all the varieties I need to cover, and I'll choose 1000 people. Okay, in 1000 people I am covering all varieties of people. So based on the survey that I am doing with these 1000 people, I'll assume that will reflect for all the state. Okay, I mean for the complete state, not all the state. So why I am doing that? Because it is more feasible, and since I have covered all kind of traits and all kind of possible values, I can say that this result will be compatible or will be applicable for the complete state. So here, instead of assuming a state as my audience, I assume the 1000 people as my audience. So the complete state was population, but the small set which I was dealing with was my sample. So when we are dealing with sample, we go for the Z table, and when we are dealing with population, we go for the T table. That is again a different distribution and a table. So the concept behind that will remain same, but yeah. So this is I can understand if you are seeing for the first time, it will be a bit complex, but once you try to do the example for the normal distribution, or you can see in YouTube or Google, you can see the example of normal distribution, it will be very easily. So after you see example, and again after you come back and watch this video, you can correlate each and every bit. Okay, that I can say for sure. So in this distribution or in this statistics part, if you have any query, please write down in the comment section. So that's it for now. I hope you understood what I was trying to explain here. So we are simply our intention is to have the dataset converted to normal distribution, and then the normal distribution should be converted to standard distribution, and we'll try to use various parameters like standard deviation, mean, mode, median, and try to get onto some conclusion, and we can give some set of solutions. Okay, and out of which the optimal solution will be taken by the, or the decision will be taken by the management. So this formula, just if you want to see the problem, see that problem. Otherwise, in the machine learning, we are going to use some logistic regression and similar kind of things, where again we are going to call the library. But if you really want to know the statistics behind that, then you should go to the formula and you can try to see what is happening when I'm calling some function. So yeah, that's it for today, and if you have any queries, please write down in the comment section. Thank you.